score right now?
44-23. What it do? What it do? What it do? It is your boy Bdammone in the house.
And Coach Gomez.
This is episode 142 of Along the Wire, and it is crunch time. Episode about crunch time. It is, for some, 2 weeks left until playoffs. For some, it's 1 week left. But we have got a lot of district ball already played, and we are back at Level Up Studios, and it's going down this episode. How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, bro. It was a good weekend. The Jets are doing good right now, so I'm excited about that. They just got to close the game off. You know what I'm saying?
My Texans just lost, so the world is right, you know. But my fantasy team just won, so once again I got more wins in fantasy than my Texans.
I heard you a second ago right now on that Juju Schuster.
Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster. Hey, shout out Robert for texting me like at 4 a.m. talking about I need to start a tight end. So I picked up the Bengals tight end, and he ended up getting me like 11 points.
Speaking of tight ends, today was tight ends day. Did you know that?
Why is that? No, I didn't.
No, that was NFL.
It's like National Tight End Day?
Yeah, bro. They
They
was doing segments on tight ends today all day.
I didn't notice that.
I guess he wasn't watching football all day.
I wasn't, because when I woke up this morning, I got straight to these rankings.
There we go.
I got straight into these rankings. So let's get started on the Week 9 top 25.
Let's do this.
Here we go. All right. There wasn't much change. The top 10s all won their games, and there was a couple people on buys. So this only really has 1 or 2 shakeups. There's a couple new additions and one team that got dropped down, even though they played a really competitive game. But let's get into it right now. We're going to go 1 through 25. Number 1, we have Steele, 8-0. Number 2, we got Brennan, 7-1. 3, Bernie at 8-0. Smith and Valley at number 4, Holden, 7-1. Taft at number 5 at 7-1. Reagan, number 6 at 6-2. New Braunfels Canyon, Holden serve at 7.
Yeah.
7-1. Brandeis.
Which they won a big game against Seguin this past weekend.
Exactly.
Real big game.
That was the ranked game. That was number 7 versus number 14. And they won that one. Number 8, Brandeis at 7-1. Number 9, Harlan, 7-2. Harlan is on a bye week this week.
Yeah,
that's very important to note. We're going to be talking about that later. So they are on a bye week. They are 7-2, one of the few teams that already have. That's 9 straight games to start the season.
Yeah.
Hey, well, actually, that's not bad when you think about the playoffs coming up. You get that late rest.
Yes, sir.
All right,
get them healthy again.
Exactly. So next up, number 10, Antonian at 7-1,
making some noise out there in taps.
Right. Number 11, Vets Memorial at 6-2. At number 13, I'm sorry, forgive me, Somerset will be on my head if I do not mention Somerset. So Somerset at number 12 at 7-1. Number 13, Southside.
Damn, district champs,
Southside.
Shouts out to Coach Locke for making it happen.
Yes, sir. 8-1. Another team that has 9 games played,
and it's impressive. Like we were talking about. I mean, the way he just makes it happen with whatever players he has.
Exactly.
Thinks outside the box. Dude throws you the kitchen sink and throwing up points. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely one of those coaches who definitely tries to get the most out of what he has.
And a lot has to do with the energy. I mean, we've been out there to the practices, man. A lot has, and he's surrounded by some good coaches as well.
Exactly.
So
and hungry players.
Oh, no doubt, bro.
Hungry players. I mean, falling in line, having fun, playing hard.
And players who ask questions, I just know off the bat, Elijah. Shout out to Elijah Solis.
Right.
I know he's a leader out there and asking questions and leading that defense and helping out on offense.
All right. So shout out to Southside once again, district champs. Number 14, Alamo Heights at 7-1. They move up 1 spot. This is where like I just said, Seguin lost to number 7. So this is where you start seeing these teams moving up, and that's why they move up 1 spot. So Alamo Heights moves up 1 spot from 15 to 14, 7-1. Davenport moves up from 16 to 15, up 1 spot at 7-1. New Braunfels moves from 17 to 16. at 5-3 right now. Johnson moves up from 18 to 17 at 5-3 as they beat O'Connor. Wait, no, not O'Connor. Who'd they take care of the other night? Johnson just beat not Churchill. No, Churchill was Clark. Marshall last night. Marshall. They beat Marshall last night. So Johnson beat Marshall. Next up, 18. Warren moves up from 19 to 18. And 19, we have Seguin. That's where Seguin drops down to from 14 after their 37-24 loss to New Braunfels Canyon. They are 6-2 now. Number 20, we have got Wagner. Number 21, we have got Clark at 6-3. Number 22, we've got Burbank coming off their victory, maintaining at 22. They are now 6-2. Sam Houston maintaining at 5-3. And looking at their, record, they've only lost a couple of games by like a possession. Like they have an 8-7 loss and then another 2-point loss. So this is a squad that is just a couple of plays away from being 7-1 at this point.
Shout outs to the offensive coordinator, Kyle Whitley.
Yes, sir.
Went out there, did a culture change and it's been putting in work. You know what I'm saying?
And also you start seeing these kids more active online in the way that you want to see them.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, being knowledgeable, putting up their clips, tags and things like that.
And not only that, just,
so
they started right before football season. He was going out there with them groups and, they started respecting and seeing what he was bringing to the table. Not to mention, when you got your own coach running routes, Carl will go out there, put on the cleats and run routes with you,
he
boy.
Will.
He will one-on-one
exactly
with you, whatever.
Exactly.
He'll call you out. You know what I'm saying? And
Exactly.
that's the kind of enthusiasm that Coach Whitley brings.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So shouts out to Carl, man, for creating that culture out there that they've been missing, bro.
Shout out Carl.
Them kids respect that.
Exactly. And number 24 back in the rankings after a 2-game winning streak, Judson at 4-4. After their win over San Marcos, and I was getting some weird score updates. Like one had them up by like 1 point, then one had them down by 7. Because we all get our scores how we get the scores during the game.
Yeah.
If it's Max Preps or Twitter, I try to like text message people at the game. Even though I'm at another game, I'm still trying to keep my hands in all the games around the city. So shout out to Judson. They ended up pulling away. And I know definitely we want to give a little bit of shout outs to Elijah Favela, the quarterback, 2025, another 25 quarterback to keep an eye on in the city.
Oh, most definitely. That kid came up out of nowhere. Like I was telling you this morning when we were on the phone, I was just like, man, there was other names we're mentioning. We're like, man, this came out of nowhere. And just the eye that Coach Soto had out there in search of a quarterback for his future there. You know what I'm saying? So they got him young and be able to develop him. And, he's been doing a great job right now.
And I definitely want to get my eyes on him personally, and I'll be at that game next week as they take on Steele. But, going over some of his numbers from this last game, just off of memory, 22 of 29 this last game for 4 touchdowns and 278 yards passing.
No, impressive, man. And he's a basketball point guard, so he's used to distributing the ball. He ain't one of those selfish kids, real unselfish. You know what I'm saying?
So he's going to be enjoying getting that rock around. So, exactly.
Hey, remember the last Judson quarterback who was a point guard who played basketball and football was who? Chandler. So it could be another guy that comes out and helps him out, bro.
Hey, number 25, closing out the top 25, we have got the Buttons. You remember
the Buttons?
the Buttons. Central Catholic at 4-3. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about that game?
They were lucky to put it out. You know what I mean? They put some stuff together towards the end of the game, but it was a good game towards halftime. But shouts out to Coach Santiago and shouts out to Coach Mike Garrett out there on the defense side of the ball and mustering out a win.
Right. So that is the top 25. Not gonna relist those. Do we have anything on the Twitter Spaces, Joe? All right, nothing on the Twitter Spaces. So we have got new additions of Judson and Central Catholic at 24 and 25, and we have got Seguin with the movement down from 14 to 19. We're now going to move on to our next segment and talk about some of these district standings and these matchups that we have coming up for this next week. Let's go ahead and start off with 27 6A. Let's get the Judson clip up there. All right, here we go. 27 6A, some major matchups, as I was saying in the last segment. Hold on, I think we got it jogging a little bit. There we go, right there. So let's look at the standings real quick. So you got Steele at 8-0 in district. We're gonna go by district, right? And once again, I'd like to thank David for these standings.
I'll never forget that. David.
I know I was busting out laughing as I was telling my wife while putting this stuff together. So we're gonna go off the district standings, right? So you got Steele at number 1 this week versus number 3 Judson.
Yeah.
Versus number 3 Judson. You've got number 4 East Central versus number 6 Clemens.
That number 2 New Braunfels versus number 5
San Marcos
is going to be a good one, I believe.
Okay, so out of these 3, just off the cuff, which one of these do you think is the biggest game in the district?
I think the 4-6 spot.
Dang it, you got it because I definitely agree with it. I think definitely for the seating purposes.
Yeah.
Shout out to Eddie Spencer because we had a nice conversation and he broke down some stuff to me on like the Division 1s and the Division 2. So East Central is that one that holds the big joker in 27 of if they make the playoffs, they're going Division 1.
Got you.
So you can avoid some huge schools if you're in this district. Definitely for those schools like Steele or Judson or anybody in this district. You can, not that winning state is ever easy, but you'll get those matchups.
Better matchup to make it a little easier for you.
Right. So that East Central versus Clemens. First of all, I did not see Clemens being 0-3 at this point in district.
Yeah.
That is unfortunate with the talent that they do have. But East Central, those kids are ones that you definitely see fighting. Shout out to Paget and Austin over there because every year they're that scrappy bunch. Think about how they made the playoffs last year, knocking Judson out with the last second play to Jack.
Yeah.
Shout out Jack. I just saw him down in Kingsville too. So this is the matchup for this weekend. I'm going to be at the Steele Judson game, but the one that holds a lot of weight within this district is that number 4 versus number 6 Clemens. And if Clemens wins these last 2 games, they could knock out San Marcos because that would put somebody at because their last 2 games are San Marcos. No.
I mean, Clemens is going to come out batting regardless. I mean,
right,
Coach
exactly.
Harvey over on the defense side of the ball, and then you have
they
Coach
could play
Johnson.
spoiler.
Yeah, man, they're not just going to give up a season.
Yeah,
I can tell you that right now. They're still building and they're still going to fight.
Exactly.
Claw or whatever towards
and this East Central game, I think, is going to be just the epitome of that.
Yeah.
East Central trying to keep it, Clemens trying to get it back.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, that's going to be.
And I know Clemens, knowing as far as Alvarez, he's out there playing quarterback.
Yes.
He knows that he can be a spoiler. If his team didn't make it, I'm still going to go out and fight and win. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
And you got Minky and Dudley playing both ways.
Yeah, they're playing for pride now. You know what I'm saying?
Josh Johnson.
Yeah.
Playing both ways. So I mean, playing both ways at 6A.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have a gripe when I've told you this off camera. When you are at a 4A school and you've got that talent to play both ways, play both ways.
And then to do it at a 6A?
To do it at a 6A. And special teams.
Yeah.
And special teams. So, I mean, Clemens got dogs. All right, so New Braunfels and San Marcos. That is a 2-5 matchup of what as well that is going to be very well contended.
Yeah.
And I say that because I'm looking at no matter the season that any of these teams are having, district is just different.
Yeah, bro, for sure. Like that Steele Judson, it's always a good game every year.
Always a good game.
Always. So rankings kind of go out, but I'm still going with Steele.
That's going to be the one. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But all right, so we're gonna go with number one is Steel. Number two in the district is New Braunfels. 3 right now is Judson, and these are all if playoffs ended today. So we recognize that there's still two more weeks left in the season. But if playoffs started today, this is how they fall. And number 4, East Central would be in that last spot, which would put them at D1. And there you go. So next clip, let's move to 28-6A with Brandeis. There we go. There we go. So as of right now, we've got a tie at first place with Brandeis and Reagan. Long way from a 0-2 start, right?
Oh, for sure, bro.
For Reagan. Now, all right, we got Brandeis. Let's go over the matchups. We got number 1 Brandeis against number 4 Clark.
That's gonna be a good one.
That I will be at that game. That game is on Thursday. Reagan versus number 7 Roosevelt. Number 3 Johnson versus number 9 Lee. Now, I'm gonna go out on the limb and say Johnson versus Lee is a big game. I'm gonna say that solely because I need to see Johnson put on a defensive performance that would make me think that they can be a real threat. Because I definitely feel like they have a great offense, but I feel like they have more talent and skill in that defense than from what I've seen.
Then you also got to keep in mind they're also young.
Exactly,
a lot of youngsters,
exactly.
man.
So I think some of that is also that expectation.
Yeah, you're seeing more of expectation because oh man, we got a Ty Hawkins that's leading the pack out there. Yeah, he's a great quarterback, but he also has surrounding support. You know what I mean? And right now, with them being a lot of sophomores,
right.
Give them a break. I mean, we talked about this. What
they have Adair and they have Zaylen Waddle in the secondary as well.
I mean, it's a good squad.
They're growing.
Yeah, they are definitely week in and week out. They are growing.
So more so than I think that they could do better on defense. I think that it's more so better worded. I should say that they're growing up before us right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're taking those steps. Just like the victory over Clark might be offset by how they lost on a 28-point fourth quarter by Brandeis.
Yeah.
So they were able to bounce back off of that, which is growth in itself. Because you could be like, man, we gave up 28 points and still be thinking about that and not be focused on Clark that next week.
Yeah, definitely, bro.
So, yeah, definitely. So, note to self, they are growing.
But you might break off that limb, though. I just want to let you know.
You're
going to fall off that limb, though. You said you was going out on the limb. I was like,
right.
Man, okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess I would just love to see a complimentary dominance.
Nah, I hear you. Right now, what they remind me of is remember them old Texas Tech days where that all offense, no defense, but that offense keeps you in the game.
Right.
Until they find themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And once again, it's a young group.
And then even though you might give up points, you have to make plays at certain times.
Yeah.
It comes down to a play. All right. So once again, we have Reagan and Roosevelt with the role that Reagan is on right now. I think that they're going to handle business. And I think that this is going to be the difference that you see in the Clark victory over Roosevelt this week. You're going to see a dominance by Reagan. No slight to Roosevelt at all. I just think that there's definitely different levels, and I think that Reagan has the talent mixed with the
discipline and coaching.
Everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything. Is just that the meter on everything sways to Reagan, and they do it over and over again.
I mean, they got a good pool of kids out there that have a great program. Coach Ham puts together a great system, and they all buy in.
And they found a complimentary running back. I see the next kid up after Carson's gone.
There you go, man. It's that culture. You got to keep that culture alive.
Exactly. And they always have that offensive line, always have a solid defensive line. And like you said, Coach Hamilton's got them coached up, and they know the task.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that they're going to take care of business versus Roosevelt. But that's That's
there's
the fight.
there's a lot of smart football played out there.
Mhm.
You know, there are a lot of high IQs. I mean, I've been around a lot of their kids. You know, I'm sure
Right.
you know
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
And just the way the questions they ask, and they know the responsibilities. They know coverages. You know, so when you have a kid that knows coverages and they know responsibilities, it makes the game a whole lot easier. You're not guessing now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, no, that's what I see with them Reagan boys out there.
And so, lastly, the matchup I want to talk about is Brandeis versus Clark. This is the matchup that I think Clark could pull off an upset versus Brandeis.
Mhm.
I think. I mean, from the plays, I got to talk to the players, but on like some of the highlights, if it's just them switching players in and out, but I saw that Metzger was playing quarterback and it wasn't Nicholas Lee, so I'm gonna have to find out what everything's going on there. If that was just like, hey, it was switching out for drives, because you definitely want to know who's going to be under center.
Yeah, most
in
definitely.
that matchup. But Brandeis is rolling. Brandeis plays defense. Brandeis has the receivers. They've got 2-3 running backs. They've got the tight end. They've got the quarterback. They've got the coach with deep playoff run experience.
Yeah, Coach Bruce is out there. You got LD Green, who was once a head coach himself, out there at Central Catholic. I mean, that squad is basically the same squad they had, coaching squad as far as I'm talking about,
Right.
is what they had at Wagner. And like you said, I mean, now you're coming over here with the bigger pool of kids who have more understanding. Not to mention, no shame on Wagner, but Brandeis, man, you go to a Brandeis football game, bro, you have all the support of the community there. You know what I'm saying? And they travel. Everyone travels, bro. So it's a whole different ball game, bro.
Yes.
So you put Coach Bruce's experience and his staff over there. That's what they're getting right now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So, with that being said, I think that Clark has a puncher's chance in this one, because I think they do have spots that will make sure that can keep Brandeis's attention, which is like almost saying, you're good enough to be noticed but not respected, which I think would be the total idea. But sometimes you have to, you still have to, like Clark is going to have to rise up to Brandeis's level, so to speak. But Brandeis isn't going to underestimate Clark.
Oh, definitely not. I'm sure they're going to come out with a great game plan. But like you said, Clark does have a couple of players where they can make some plays and compete.
Right.
Make this a competitive game.
Exactly.
Now if you get caught up with all the outside noise and all this other stuff, it's gonna be difficult.
It's gonna be difficult.
And not only that, you got to be able to win the special teams game. Special teams, bro.
And you know what? I mean, for years, we didn't have to worry about who they had on special teams, and that's one thing I need to pay attention to now with Brandeis, because when you had Aiden back there, it was like, are you gonna kick to him? Because you can. He could take a punt. He could take a kickoff back at any moment.
Yeah.
So I need to see exactly who. I need to pay attention to that. When I'm there Thursday, I'll definitely will be paying more attention to the special teams. And special stuff happens on special teams. It definitely sways, because a lot of times when you're on the sidelines, it can just seem like it's a formality. Like, okay, the extra point's going to get made, the kickoff's going to be down. I definitely saw that this past week at the Bernie Kennedy game, when Kennedy's guys started running off the field thinking the kick's going to go over their head.
And I remember us talking about that. I mean, Antonia did that to Central Catholic last week.
Same thing. Dies at the one.
Yeah, they don't. If you don't stress on special teams, man, and you have a smart coach out there, kudos to you if you're doing your thing, man, because you're going to come up with points.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's still part of football, man.
Right.
We get into this how would I say, laziness of just thinking we're going to kick it off and we're going to receive it and we're going to kick it off. But them coaches who really want to win and start want to prepare for the playoffs, you got to start thinking outside the box and start incorporating that right now.
Because you never know, the defense that just came off the field might end up right back on it.
Exactly. So, yeah, playoff time's coming around, so you're going to start seeing a lot of them coaches
it's crunch time.
It is, bro.
It's crunch time, and this is some of the best time. These games, the pressure for the kids and the ultimate understanding, like, hey, if you wanted to make the playoffs right now, is even a magnified time. It should have been the rest of the season, but this is magnified now.
It's not how you start; it's how you finish, bro.
Right. All right, let's move on to 29 6A. There we go. 29-6A, and I do not have all the teams in there. Be it that not all of them are within a puncher's chance, as I've been saying, of making the playoffs. So right now we have got matchups of Brennan, number 1 versus number 9 Holmes. Number 2 Taft versus number 6 Jay. That will be one that I'm paying attention to. And the one that I think, number 4 Stevens versus number 5 Warren.
Berkshires versus Mesa. That's what it's going to be, a shootout.
I'm going to be happy. 2 p.m. Saturday. I need to figure out which stadium that's going to be at. I'll get with Coach Conrad.
Shout out Stevens. That's where my son goes to high school. And my boy, his son goes and plays for the Stevens High School football team. So shout out to Stevens.
Make sure you give me their name too, because I think you did tell me that one time.
Yeah. I'll get with you afterwards. I'll let you know.
All right, definitely. And like I was saying earlier, Harlan is on a bye, but their last game next week is versus Taft.
Yeah.
And that's number 2 versus number 3.
That's going to be a good one.
Number 2 versus number 3. So let's go over some of these matchups. Brennan Holmes, that most likely is going to be Brennan.
Yeah, Brennan's right.
I'm on that limb again. I'm going to go on that limb.
Don't jump on that limb, boy.
You're going to be getting on some limbs. You better stop eating those tamales, man. Tamale season's coming up.
Bro, you're going on them lids. I need to.
So Taft versus Jay.
Mm-hmm.
That one is intriguing to me because I definitely feel like Jay is on a gradual growth. I like how they have their run game lined up. They've got some good defensive linemen. They've got a nice size secondary. They have a nice size squad. Physically, how their players look. You know, they aren't definitely they aren't the biggest, but they have good size.
Yeah.
And they've been in some games and given teams some issues. And if they get their running game going, then they could end up eating up the clock and giving some teams some trouble.
They're in a rebuilding year as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
who they lean on all year? I mean, the last couple years,
Huerta,
running back. You know what I'm saying? So they were leaning on him, and previous to that, they were leaning on Jacob Zeno, who's now at he was at Baylor, now he's at UAB. And when you miss 2 guys like that they were leaning on the last couple of years, it's a rebuilding year. You know what I mean? And they do have. I've once said back in the days that I felt that Jay was the best team inside 410, where we had talked that one time, inside the loop. So them dudes, I mean, they have some ball players out there, bro.
They have some spots. I'll definitely be in contact with them to make sure that they're, staying on over the summer, because you definitely want to see that potential blossom and grow, especially with some of the kids that they have, like those 2 6'5" defensive linemen. Like, not many people even in San Antonio have 2 6'5" defensive ends. So, you definitely got to compliment each other and compliment your teammates with the work put in. All right. So 2 versus 6, that was Taft versus Jay. And Taft is the same way. Like, they're another team that could honestly run the ball every single play if they wanted to, and just end up beating you down on the defensive front on the other side of the ball. So that's why I think that this will be a intriguing matchup, because I think Jay can definitely take things from Taft, the players, and how they're asked to do similar things.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the interesting things. And that's an interesting angle to even think of, that you have to be learning from these games. You can't just go through playing and doing what you're doing. You can pick up and steal things from the squad that you're going against.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Just don't go through the motions, is what you're saying,
right?
Basically.
Exactly. And last, like you just said, 4 versus 5, Stevens versus Warren, and KK versus Antonio.
Yeah.
But man, and then also, who am I thinking about? The tight end. It looks like he's like 6'7" now. Cook for Stevens, like him, and then you got Darian.
So I think Antonio is going to have the bit more of a supporting cast and more athletes to play with,
right?
versus the Stevens group. With
Right.
Stevens, they've already the last couple of years they've been in this situation. They already know how to play big games. So there might not be just one athlete who's going to stand out. Though there is a couple of cornerbacks they brought up from the JV team that I had noticed, and there's a guy in particular, I think number 11, I believe, or 15, youngster, man, reminds me of Leonard Adams, long, lanky kid. So they have some ball players over there as well, But as far as Warren goes, like I said, I think, man, when you got Antonio back there right now, that dude leads in passing yards, and he's tearing it up, bro.
And that combination of him and Holmes is the tops in the city right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then you haven't even talked about Elijah.
Yeah.
And
you got hello?
Can you hear me?
Nope.
Did it cut out? Can you hear me?
Nah.
No. We will be right back.
I can't even hear that. Hello? All right. I can hear you right there.
I was going to say, if you heard that, I can't hear nothing.
All right.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. So
okay.
So now we hadn't talked about the other guys. Quincy Alma, who's on there.
Yes. Who plays both ways?
Who plays both ways?
Who plays both ways? We haven't even talked about Nate Robinson. Man.
And they got a couple of D linemen, man, who can hold their own up front.
Right.
So, I mean, if they can buy some time for Meza on the offensive end, I think that he'll pick them apart. And same thing goes for the Warren defense. If they can hold up brochures, they'll be able to battle. But
in which that's going to be interesting, because I definitely want to see. I want to see that matchup. Who's going to guard Cook? How are they going to go about it? Are they going to bring? Nate's been playing physical, but that's a 6'7" dude, and I mean you aren't going to come down from safety and just.
No, I think if they can give a good rush up front on defense,
or
right,
or let's see. Forgive me for not having the name down by memory. Their linebacker number 16 might end up picking up him in coverage. That's one of their bigger defensive guys that they have, who is going to be able to check them off the line.
I'll fill in my pick 'em right now. I'm going with Warren.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Warren. But I think definitely, like you were saying, off of that experience, Stevens was a team that was also bit by injury.
True.
The past couple years.
They have been. Yeah, they did.
And
because you had Ethan having to go to quarterback from receiver because KK was out. And KK had to come back and kind of build it back up again. So
from the year before having like 120 catches.
Yeah.
And now you're having to play quarterback. Like that's so
but definitely, it's going to be a good game, bro.
It is.
It's one of those games where records go out the window. You know what I mean? It's almost like
a
rivalry game. Yeah.
Once again, district. It's just like that. So, man, make sure whatever games that we're talking about, if you're a fan of the team or just a football period, it's going to be plenty of good games to go see around the city for the weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah.
So make sure that y'all get out of there. Like I said, Harlan is on bye week. So next week they have Taft. I'd say make sure y'all go see that. These last 2 weeks are pretty much playoff football.
Not to mention, I mean, if you're one of these athletes who think, you know what, I'm going to end up facing one of these teams in the playoffs and I'm an opposing team.
Facts.
Go out there and check it out. See what their tendencies are. See what kind of tendencies the receivers have, the DBs got, the linebackers got. Hell, even what
size them up.
Yeah, offensive lineman. See what his tendencies are. See where their weaknesses are at. Try to hit their weaknesses up.
Mm-hmm. Because trust me, they're doing it to you.
Oh, for sure. But a lot of times, a lot of kids want to wait till the coaches tell them, right? And the coaches think about it, man. They're trying to game plan. They're going to break down as much as possible. Right. But if you can go doing your homework and maybe help your coaches out, man, come on.
If you're a coach, would you assign kids to go to different games?
I wouldn't assign kids to go to different games, but I would tell them to do the homework if they are going to be out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's one of those things you don't really want your kids out on a Friday night, but if you do have the opportunity, if you're gonna be out, go check it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
pushing them in no
If
direction.
you do anything,
yeah, if y'all happen to be out,
Yeah.
if you happen to be out, check
Yeah.
this game out, whatever. But I'm not pushing them in no direction.
Definitely. All right. Let's move on to our next segment. I guess that's going to be our pick'ems, right? All right. Let me go to this text message and pull this up.
You have the scores?
I have them off of Max Preps. Yeah. Do you have yours on there?
What? My pick'em?
Yeah.
I should have my pick'em.
Yeah, because I got mine.
Who's going to take
right
it this
here.
week, Coach?
All right.
Not
So
too sure.
let's
It
just
might be Brandon. That's why he's bringing
just-
it up because we hadn't brought it up in about a couple of weeks.
Hey, actually,
If you noticed,
It's been real quiet.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's
laugh.
It's been
real-
real quiet.
it's been
I
real
don't
quiet,
like
and all
that.
of a sudden this week we're doing pick'ems.
I don't
You
like
feel me
that
on that
laugh
one?
like that, Joe. That was too much.
Damn, Joe even got it.
Hold
He
on.
only wants to do the
Hold on.
pick'ems when he's
Hold on.
winning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know how it
No,
goes.
I'm
I
not-
mean, he's facing a 2-time champion, baby. You know what I'm saying? So he's like,
At this moment, Coach is up by 4.
Yeah, but he needs to say it. If he's a 2-time champion, he needs to say it like Booker T.
Two-time.
Two-time.
so he said, you know what? I think I got Coach this week, and I might be able to tie it or go up on him. So we're gonna talk about pick'em.
Man, but Brandon,
Coach
needs,
is up by
Brandon
4.
needs to step up his game though when it comes to the graphics, man. Coach again, dude. Going the extra mile with
We're
the
live
pumpkins,
right
man.
now.
I know you. Step up your game. Step up your game.
All right, so we got Steel. We got Steel. We both had Steel, right?
Yeah.
Brennan over Sotomayor, yeah. Bernie over Kennedy, yes. Smith and Valley over Bernie Champion, yes. Taft over Holmes, yes. Reagan over Churchill, yeah. New Braunfels Canyon. Did you have them or Seguin?
I had Seguin, and Seguin lost. Yes, sir.
So now you're up 3.
You know, it was at home. You know what I'm saying? And
you-
they didn't play. It was
and you
it was
know,
gonna be a good game, bro.
I had
It
a lot
was.
of trepidation over that game. You see how
And you know, Seguin is always talking about they don't show no love, or you know what I'm saying. We went with
So-
Seguin this week.
Let's see. Vets Memorial over Piper. Vets. Harlan over John Jay. Yeah. Let's see. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. They were yes, they got John Jay. That was another score. I had some issues getting that score. Antonian over St. Pius. Yes. Somerset over Memorial. Who'd you have in that one?
Somerset over Memorial. Come on, man. I had Somerset.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just
Come on, man.
Did you have Southside or Martin?
Let me see who I had.
Well, you know Southside won. Southside. So Alamo Heights or Edison?
Alamo Heights.
Going against your own. Okay.
I had to, man. I don't go with my heart, man. Come on.
All right. Did you have Davenport or Lampasas?
I had Davenport. And
I took Lampasas.
God bless.
I took Lampasas.
That's
So
all
you're
right.
back up for. Let's see. I had Johnson over Marshall.
No, we missed one. New Braunfels and Clemens.
Okay. I had New Braunfels.
And I had Clemens.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So you're up 3. So can I pick your brain on that one?
What's up?
Can I pick your brain on that? Why'd you pick New Braunfels? I mean Clemens over New Braunfels.
I just had to go with the defensive Clemens, man.
Mhm.
Really.
Mhm.
I mean, what the score ended up being. Like, you remember?
Yeah, I got it right here. Oh, I'm on next week.
Yeah, but I just had to go with Clemens, man. I mean, like we talked about earlier, they got some good players,
38-21.
and it was Clemens.
Yeah.
Yep.
No. New
I mean,
Braunfels.
Braunfels, yeah.
New Braunfels. All right. Johnson versus Marshall. Johnson.
Yeah.
Did you pick Hayes over Wagner?
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right. I had Wagner. Clark or Roosevelt? Who'd you have?
Clark.
Clark. Did you have Burbank or Harlandale?
I had Harlandale.
I had Harlandale as well. And shout out to Burbank. Sam Houston or Brack?
I had Sam.
I had Sam. I am. And did you have Highlands or did you have Lanier?
Highlands.
I had Highlands as well. And Lanier got that.
Yeah.
So that is our pick'em for this week. So you are currently up by 3.
Still up by 3.
Still up by 3.
Yo. Appreciate that, Joe.
Winners win.
Look at that.
Winners
We got
win.
a peanut gallery. We got a peanut gallery. out
Winners
here.
win, right? That's right, Coach. Winners
Yes,
win.
sir. Winners win.
We've got a peanut. Well, do you know where there needs to be a bigger peanut gallery at? There needs to be a bigger peanut gallery at these players' games that we are about to go over. Guys who are going to be supporting from out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've gone over some players' tape and just been keeping our ears to the field.
Yeah.
Should I say ears to the turf? That should be a segment, right? Ears to the turf,
Ears to the turf.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not bad. All right, so we are gonna talk about this is yours. This is yours. Your pick. Cornerback from Brennan. I'll let you take it.
You got it. Go ahead.
Cornerback from Brennan, senior, number 2 from Brennan High School, San Antonio, Texas, graduating class of 2023, Keelan Elder.
God, that was pretty impressive.
Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
So for those that don't know, Keelan transferred down here. He was out in Nacogdoches, right? And he ended up being here. This is his first year here. Been doing a great job, having a huge impact for Coach B's defense.
But the Elder name is not new to San Antonio.
Definitely not. KJ used to play out at Warren. Was a receiver for Warren. Ended up doing a little bit of, I think he walked on right at UTSA for a little bit.
Right.
Tried to play some safety out there.
Here we go.
So what we like about Mr. Elder here is recognizes the ball, real high football IQ, great hips, great speed, good size.
Yes. Good length. And can catch, as we just saw right there.
Always, there's been games that I've watched where he'll bump you off the line. He changes it up. He'll play off. He'll play some man, play some good zone. Definitely see that he can contribute at the next level. A kid that likes to grind. He'll put in that work. Not afraid to hit either. Smart.
And from that play, you can tell that he understands his responsibility within the play. Being able to release a player into the secondary, you have to have an understanding of what's going on in front of you and also the defense that's being played. It also helps when you have Tyler Turner behind you as well.
Well, not to mention, we just saw this punt right now, and he's communicating on punt,
right?
Blocking the guy he needs to.
And that's another one of those things when you're at a program like Brennan that you're going to end up getting those extra details. Coach Baser and his staff always do a great job. Like, you can just go back years of the defensive backs, especially who know where to be and how to line each other up.
No, definitely.
You rarely will see Brennan be beat by somebody being out of position.
Yeah. And anything you do against Brennan, you got to earn it.
Exactly.
On that defense.
Exactly. And you better be fast.
But the thing that stood out to me is coming from Nacogdoches, nothing was handed to him.
Yeah.
With Coach B, he's not just going to hand you a position. Now for him to come down here and actually contribute, and got offers during his transition from high schools. So it's one of those things where he is an athlete. I just feel that people out there should know who this kid is, and that's why we're talking about him today.
And it's one of my favorite things to make sure that we note is cornerback. Cornerback was one of those positions last year that, you know, kind of exposed Brennan when they came to that Lake Travis game, and even earlier, but they had the talent enough to overcome it.
Yeah.
But then once they got to that Lake Travis level, it was something that you just couldn't avoid.
Yes,
and
sir. Yes,
so
sir.
he definitely shares that up for them. All right. Were we able to get the J stuff straightened out?
Yes,
all right.
sir.
So let's move on to your next guy. This is Antonian quarterback. I'll let you do it.
No, you got it. You got it.
Jace Toscano, 2024. Am I correct in that?
Sir.
2024, Jace. He is taking over for quarterback Schwalen, who was there last year, and seems to be keeping things rolling. As Antonian is the along the wire number 10 team in the city. He's been in some big games and been able to perform. Has some extremely great talent around him, but seems to be the fire that keeps.
Yeah, I think he's the piston that has things going. I mean,
there you
go. According to some of his stats, you know, you got 113 attempts with 106. I mean, actually 169 attempts with 113 completions.
Right.
He got over 1,596 yards, and that's not including what he did this past weekend. This past weekend, he also had, I think, another 200 yards in 220 yards passing. He went 16 out of 20. He threw for a touchdown and rushed for one.
Gotta love the Oiler uniforms.
Oh, definitely. And one of the things we had talked about was that, you know, he has all these receivers around him, right?
Yes.
He could definitely be one of those quarterbacks if we wanted to, who would just eye one receiver in Ricky. Right. But whenever they cover Ricky, what does he do? He adjusts and he starts distributing the ball elsewhere.
Right.
Not to mention he uses his legs. He's a kid that I asked, you know, what are some of the quarterbacks that you've looked up to and mimic your game after? And he had mentioned Zach Schwalen and Silas Gomez, which were great quarterbacks in taps. You know, Zach did his thing there, and Silas did his thing as well. So that tells you the kid studies. He knows what to expect out there, and he's look at that scramble right now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He's out there trying to be a baller,
keeping his head downfield.
Yeah, for sure, and not to mention representing taps. You know what I mean. You don't get a whole lot of love coming out of taps, but when you're out there doing what you do, what are we doing now?
Right.
Talking about him.
Exactly.
He is going to raise some eyebrows, bro.
Exactly.
And like I said, the most impressive thing to me was watching that Antonian Central game when they say, you know what, they locked up Ricky because he didn't contribute any touchdowns. I think Gary Mejia might have missed a tackle that first pass, and after that, Gary Mejia did a great job in locking up Ricky. Then you see Jace adjust and starts distributing the ball.
Right.
Ended up winning big.
Right. Is that I don't mean to say a thing, but is that common? Like, I mean, he mentions the quarterbacks and they're both from taps. Is that
It's not a common thing. It was just I was just surprised. I thought he was going to say NFL guy or college guy. I mean, which I was just wow. Okay.
Exactly. Okay, I want to go to an obvious one. Let's pull up James Peoples.
You pulling up James Peoples?
James Peoples.
How come we went to a obvious guy?
Last tab. There you go. Oh, it doesn't want to. All right, there we go. James Peoples. This is
so you snuck that one in on me because you never brought up James. You said I got defensive guys.
Well, yeah. I mean, I still have them. But I still have them. But man, James coming off of this last couple of weeks, man, getting the Baylor offer, Miami offer, Ohio State offer, 2024 running back. You know, he's got schools coming to vets regularly. Power 5 schools. I mean, he's got Texas offer. He's got UTSA. He's got he's
definitely a kid not under the radar.
Not
which we were looking for, but
not under the radar.
Nah, but he's a kid that has definitely worked. He's surrounded himself around a village, I would say, of people that are trying to help him out.
Right.
Not to mention the work that he's put in the weight room and outside the weight room. I mean, it's not just whatever he does there at school. He's doing a whole lot of other things outside of school.
I tell you, it had been some months that I had seen him from the season last year, and then when I saw him in Houston at the Under Armour camp, and this kid just looked totally different. Like he looked, you know how TJ Andrews looks. He was standing next to TJ Andrews, and it was like, okay, both of these kids are rocked up. You know, like so. You know, whatever he's been doing, putting in the work. You know, I've had college coaches tell me that, you know, he's an exciting runner, and while he isn't under the radar, so to speak, I think that the knowledgeable fans here in San Antonio who may not even know that Vets is the third school in Judson ISD should know about this kid, because you're going to end up seeing him playing on Saturdays. He's got that type of attention, and he's got that respect across the country right now. You definitely should not sleep on him if you are here in San Antonio, and he's going to be that cog that helps things go for this Vets team, and with them in the playoffs, I'm really interested because he's developed and he's busting loose. This is against Liberty Hill. He's putting together 200-yard rushing games consistently now.
And that's something you were looking at. Remember earlier on in the season, whenever you saw them face Taft.
Right.
You know, I remember speaking to you that night. You were kind of puzzled. You were like, man, I don't know. You know what I mean? There's some questions that need to be answered.
Right.
And I guess with you bringing up these clips, he's probably answered some questions throughout the past few weeks. Because at first you weren't, I guess, bought in completely.
Right.
And
so
he has been throwing up some numbers.
Yeah, in that game, you know, he had a nice 16-yard run, and then it was a couple of fumbles that happened in that game. But you know, it's been all engines go since that game versus Taft. And that's Taft that, like I said about Jay, veterans does similar things to Taft. So it's like, you know, what are you going to do when they recognize that they want to do the same thing that y'all do?
Yeah.
And they're at a 6A level and you're at 5A, and that's splitting hairs is the difference. So James, people, make sure y'all recognize him and go out there and see vets play, because you're going to be seeing them on Saturdays, like I've been saying. All right, let's move on to let's go to Elijah Walton. Elijah Walton, 6'2", 200-pound linebacker out of Harlan High School. Look at that. Closing speed, great play recognition, fearless tackler, sure tackler.
And this is a kid that, when talking to his dad last spring, didn't know he wanted to play football. You remember that?
Yes.
Remember talking to him about that? And
yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about, bro? You're like way bigger than your brother. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way this is happening. But I think he was just going through a phase. You know what I'm saying?
And that happens too.
Yeah, it starts happening. But man, he came back this year and look what he's doing. I mean, he's contributing big on that Harlan defense right now.
Incredible closing speed, has a good attack radius. And when I say that, it's the distance in which he's choosing to make that tackle. Look at that. And
kudos to the head coaches out there that have brought this beast out in him.
Yeah.
So to speak, you know,
because I mean, you could end up losing a kid easily.
Yeah, for sure. If he would have said, nah, you know what, I'm done. I'm not trying to play football. I'm good. But it's almost like this year he came in with no pressure, no expectation. Like he's just having fun out there. You know,
not giving up on plays. Look at that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like he's just
hitting the mic.
He's just having fun out there, man.
So you love to see that. Great play recognition, fighting. Man, I remember talking to you about this film, and I'm like, this kid just looks different right now. And not only getting the tackle, but causing fumbles, making a difference, loosening that ball and getting the possession is the biggest thing you can do on defense.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And one thing about him is like almost you're in his area, he's a sure tackler.
Yes.
Sure tackler.
I mean, if you look at this, he's wrapping up, rolling, taking down. Like, if he's going to get his arms around you. Boom. In the backfield.
No, definitely a player you want to keep your eyes on him.
I'm not going to say that. I was fighting saying that earlier. I'm not going to say it. But let's move on to our next our next defensive talent. Defense.
Oh, I thought you were gonna come up with Ashton DeBose or something.
Wow.
Like that.
Wow. That's next week. Let's move on to Mr. Bailey Fletcher.
That's a good pick.
What? That's a good pick. That's a good pick. Usually because he wears green like the Jets.
It's a good pick.
All right, we've got Bailey Fletcher, a kid who prides himself on not being thrown at, but yet wants you to throw at him. And he steps up and takes on that number one. Look at that. Getting the ball, being heady. He takes on every team's number one receiver. If you're the number one guy, then when you're playing Reagan, I understand that number two is going to be on you. Really good speed. I know that he trains in the offseason with Bam, who comes down and trains out in Live Oak. So if y'all DBs need a trainer, you don't have one in here, hit me up and y'all can get some workout in Live Oak. But, let Bailey and these other defensive backs, Rashad Wisdom trains with Bam and stuff. So he's getting work with Rashad Wisdom. He's out there training and working with some of the best to do it. And it's showing this season.
And just knowing that he's doing this for Coach Hamilton out there, that Coach Hamilton has these guys ready as well.
Exactly.
And, you can go to trainers as well, but like once again, it takes a village.
Right.
So whatever he's doing out with the trainers, whatever he's doing out with, his high school coaches,
it's translating.
Yeah, it's all translating. He's putting it all together now.
And moving, and this is some playing safety right here.
And then him being young, just the more games you play, more reps you get, you start recognizing certain things,
right?
Certain tendencies of quarterbacks, and then you start picking it up, and it starts just being a little easier for you.
And one thing, like you said, that every DB should put in their bag, it's cool to be okay at at bump coverage, but if you can't play off and if you don't have different looks that you can give, then you become coached against.
Yeah.
Like, because you already know what's going to happen. Like,
oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, this guy's always a man guy or he's always a zone guy.
Exactly. And that's exactly just like Keelan. This is something that Bailey has the ability to do and gives you different looks.
And both guys play for two good programs.
Right.
Two defensive good programs, man.
Right. That pay attention to detail.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I definitely look forward to seeing him on the camp scene and seeing him in some 7-on-7 settings, because definitely in those 7-on-7 settings you get to see them go up against some people across the state and across the country more so than in your area.
And when you're up and close like that, you can see their character as well.
Yes.
What kind of players they are.
Yes.
There's a lot of players out there that do contribute for their teams, that
Mm-hmm.
we talk about. But there's also players that we probably could be talking about, but we don't because we kind of know their character. And I'm being honest.
Facts. And also, guys who are physical in pads is just as they are without them.
Yeah.
Because that can disappear when the pads come on.
For sure. There's a lot of guys that are physical out there in 7-on-7, but when it comes to put on pads, it's not the same physicality or the same running of the mouth.
Exactly. So this is Bailey Fletcher. We are actually coming to the end of the show, and shutting it down with a shutdown corner is not bad.
Not bad at all.
Bad. This has been episode 142 of Along the Wire. Hey, make sure you follow us on Twitter. Follow me at Bdammone. Follow Coach Gomez
at STX7B7.
Wait, do we even have to say that anymore? Is it up on the screen?
We don't gotta say it, Bo. Yeah, man,
there you go.
Care
See,
of us.
there
Joe
you go.
Takes care of us.
Joe's
Studio
Joe. Hold on. Can I say that now? Studio Joe. Studio Joe. I like that.
Studio Joe.
I like that.
We'll go ahead and give you.
Okay. So, hey, this has been episode 142 of Along the Wire. Please follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel Along the Wire SATXHSFB. Hey, and hit us up if you are a San Antonio high school football player, Texas high school football player. I get messages from all over the country. So if you got the grades to make the plays, send your video my way.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's flowing today.
There you go.
It's flowing. I'm not even knowing the skills I'm showing. What is this? Too legit to quit until Joe hits the button and says, "Let's go."
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. Let me just stop. All right, I'm gonna stop.
Stop while you're ahead, sir. You're gonna have a blowout.
Wow.
Stop while he's ahead, right?
Wow,
Before he has a blowout. You have a blowout sound?
We appreciate you for being with us today. And did I leave anything out? Thank you for your support always. We will be seeing y'all out there on the sidelines. 210, birds up, hook 'em. We out.
Jets all